I wonder if it would be possible to make a complete schedule for the entire school of Hogwarts. And well, what you've seen in front of you is what I have constructed over the last few years or months at least. Uh, Basically, what I've done is I've been reading all of the books out loud to my younger daughters, and as I've read the books, I made some small notes and yeah, of when Harry Potter and his friends have their different lessons. And then I've made a schedule complete for all four houses and all the professors at Hogwarts. So, for example, what you have seen in front of you here, if you start with that, we have Gryffindor Year 1 in the very top here. On Monday morning, they have Defense Against the Dark Arts with Professor Lupin, then they have a short break, and then they have Herbology with Professor Sprout. And then they have the rest of the day free of lessons. You'll notice that they have very few lessons, the year 1, but still it's mentioned in the books that they're very busy all the time. And the reason why I haven't added lessons for the entire, all the different time spots here, is that it would not be possible for the teachers, the professors, to have that many lessons. That would be like impossible, and it's unlikely that there are professors that are not mentioned in the books. I assume that there is only one Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher. So the reason this works is that I assume there is something called study hall. This is something that is never mentioned in the books, but we can see that clearly in the movies. That the students in the different houses, when they don't have lessons, they are expected to go to the Great Hall and do their homeworks and study and so on when they don't have lessons. And this is something we can see in the movie. There is a scene where there is some interactions between Harry Potter and his friends and Professor Snape, that is one of the adults supervising this study hall. So when there is no lessons here mentioned, this is when the students go to study hall instead. So this is Gryffindor Year 1. This is one example. And for example, if we look at again Monday morning, they have Defense Against the Dark Arts with Professor Lupin. And if we check at the very bottom of this document here, if we go press to Lupin, you will notice that yes, indeed on Monday morning he has Gryffindor Year 1. So this is like an automatic time schedule to see how does it look like for a professor in Hogwarts. How busy are they? And as you can see, Professor Lupin, he's very busy. He has one of the core subjects, Defense Against the Dark Arts. And also we know that in the books, Gryffindor has this class to themselves. They don't share this with any other house. But we also know that, for example, if we go to Professor Snape, we know that Gryffindor and Slytherin, they have potions class together. So in this such situation, he has, on Monday morning, he has the year 6 of both Slytherin and Gryffindor. But if you go back to Professor Lupin, he's been very busy. He even has lessons after dinner with Ravenclaw. I have assumed that he has Slytherin and Hufflepuff as a mixed class. There is no mention of this anywhere in the books, but yeah, I just thought that this makes sense, that Hufflepuff and Slytherin should have Defense Against the Dark Arts together, like a controversial subject. Going back to Gryffindor again, I've made an assumption that the Hogwarts schedule is the same every year. So if we keep going down, for example, to year 7, we can see that there is lots of lessons. There is newt classes, and we also have, when there is this text is in italics, this is a shared subject between different houses. We also have some optional classes that the students can choose to elect or not, electives as they're called. For example, not everyone in Gryffindor studies Muggle studies, and not everyone study, for example, care of magical creatures with Hagrid. But they still have those options here. And we can check that also. If we press Hagrid, we can see that he doesn't have that many lessons. He has an elective subject. So he has, of course, some newt classes with year 6 and year 7. But he also has a lot of free time, and that makes sense, I guess, because he also has to take care of his other duties as caretaker of the grounds. take care of all those pesky monsters and stuff in the Forbidden Forest. If you watch this movie, you probably have lots and lots of questions, and there is a little tab here down to the left called Notes with lots and lots of text. This I have written down some questions and ideas and assumptions I have made. You're free to check that out before you write any questions. I've started to add like some notes of where it's mentioned in the books that this lesson is supposed to be here, but usually it's very unlikely that the books actually mention specifics. I mean, for example, in year 3, Gryffindor, they mention that in the afternoon they have double potions lessons with Professor Snape, so yeah, they have that here. But I think they never mention like how long is a lesson, how many minutes. They don't specify specific time slots, like when exactly what time a lesson starts and so on. But they still mention a lot of information. For example, there's one Tuesday they mention in the books where they have McGonagall, Flitwick, Binns, and then end with babbling, I think. So that's written down in this timetable. And if you wonder why it's Professor Lupin, well, the biggest reason is because basically this is my favorite Harry Potter book, and he just happened to be the professor in that subject that year. But as I said before, I assume that the Hogwarts has the same schedule for every single year. So yeah, please check the link in the description of this movie out if you want to find out more of this, and you can, if you want to, you can make a copy of this document and so on. And the only thing I really ask of is that you mention that it's where you found this information, and I don't expect any payment or anything like that. It's just kind of something I did for fun. Usually I worked in Sweden as taking care of theirs in Sweden's largest school, Palmblad, and I take care of their schedule there. So this is kind of like both a hobby of mine, but also something which I find very interesting. And making this schedule, of course, it took many hours to make this, but it was also actually very interesting and I learned a lot of things along the way. So it was an interesting challenge.